There's a lot to discuss regarding the new Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 234 spoilers. Many events have occurred that could greatly influence the outcome of this fight, which you might not have noticed. I will explain everything in detail, let's delve into it. The new Jujutsu Kaisen Chapter 234 begins with what can be called Plan B. Yuta reveals his intention to stop into the fight to save Gojo as he feels the situation doesn't look promising. On the other hand, Kashimo disagrees. Initially it appears that he enjoys watching the strongest fighters battle each other, but he mainly remains determined to be the one to fight Sukuna, which was his original intention to begin with. To be honest, either he has great confidence in his abilities, believing he's incredibly strong, or he is simply being naive. He fails to recognize the force of Sukuna. Watching two titans duel, he seems to think he stands a chance. Perhaps his desire is merely to experience battling against the most formidable curse user, not necessarily aiming to win, but to gain the experience, even if it leads to his death. The atmosphere becomes more intense as it appears both are on the verge of starting a battle of their own. Hakari points out to Yuta that while not everything Kashimo said made sense, the idea of not interfering in the fight at this time is valid. This is because Gojo himself didn't want them to get involved unless he was in a position of weakness compared to them. It can be interpreted that Hakari meant they shouldn't intervene unless Gojo was weaker than them, even though Yuta's response seems more fitting for Sukuna. But I think we have to simply wait for the official translation. Yuta believes that actions should be based on the situation, and at present not only is Sukuna unable to use a domain, but if he's utilizing two Shikigami at the same time, Yuta and Rika have the capability to challenge them and can certainly assist. This suggests that Hakari was actually talking about Sukuna, which aligns with Yuta's perspective on the matter, unless they simply don't listen to Gojo, but who knows, both is possible. Regardless, the narrative suggests that none of the characters present match the power of either Gojo or Sukuna. Even the mightiest among them seems uncertain. They continue to debate, with everyone seemingly eager to participate. However, it's clear that no one has made the move to intervene, as they all recognize that the necessary conditions haven't been met. They know they aren't stronger than either Sukuna or Gojo, even now. The biggest issue which we are reminded of isn't just how they will handle Sukuna, but what will happen after the fight even if Gojo wins. If that happens, he likely won't be useful against Kenjaku. We all know that in battle manga the final opponent is usually the strongest. They might not be aware of this, obviously, but it does highlight the need for them to be cautious. The likelihood of Gojo defeating Sukuna is greater than the group defeating Kenjaku if some of them get defeated by Sukuna because they overestimated their abilities. They just can't handle him. Sukuna is intentionally fighting in a way that's out of character against Gojo because of the infinity. If anyone interferes, Sukuna won't need to fight this way because there will be no infinity to disrupt him. One wrong move and they could be dead. That's the kind of curse user they are up against. Really, only Gojo should be in this fight for now. They also shouldn't forget that the moment they interfere in a one-on-one fight, everyone who supports Sukuna will do everything possible to achieve their aims. Once someone intervenes, all bets are off. Kenjaku won't just watch. He knows he needs Sukuna to defeat Gojo before the others can defeat him. Additionally, there's also concern that Sukuna has an ace up his sleeve. They worry that if they confront him, it might force him to use it. I can only think of a few possibilities, like a yet-to-be-revealed curse technique, or something he's been holding back since the fight began. However, it could also be something completely different, like a strategy or weapon, or maybe the gift. Remember, just as Gojo has his secrets with a finger in Plan B, so does Sukuna. The main difference is that we don't see the story from the villain's perspective, since it's focused on the heroes. It's a clear reminder, don't underestimate Sukuna. Gojo's reflecting on all the Shikigami and considering how Sukuna uses them to make the best of the situation. He thinks that the healing effect of Round Deer isn't adapted to Limitless, however he still feels the need to destroy it in one shot, just as he plans to do with Mahoraga. Gojo has started to feel that Sukuna is becoming predictable. They have mentioned this several times during the fight. It seems they find each other increasingly predictable. However, remember what I mentioned last time. There's a possibility that both we, the readers, and everyone watching the fight as well as Gojo, have fundamentally misunderstood the adaptation process. Yuji provided a solid example of how this misunderstanding could lead to serious consequences. The only reason they might hold a specific belief is that Sukuna might be deliberately restricting his fighting style to confuse everyone about Mahoraga's adaptation adaptation process. If true, this not only portrays Sukuna as an excellent actor, but also a masterful fighter. Not everyone can challenge the most powerful individual without fully committing, especially if they are putting on a show and crafting a strategy on the fly to deceive those watching. The fact that Gojo sees Sukuna as predictable suggests that Sukuna might be intentionally repeating certain moves, or using his powers in a certain consistent way. It's hard to accept that Sukuna is truly predictable given his immense power and experience. No one can dispute that, since it's more or less confirmed that the true conditions for adaptation haven't been fully understood. It indicates that Sukuna might be controlling the fight's rhythm. He often moves predictably only to surprise with an unpredictable move, which then puts Gojo at a disadvantage. While many label Sukuna as a fraud, I prefer the term sly strategist. Regardless of the exact wording, we can all agree that he's the best at deception. He has always been unpredictable, so if Gojo believes Sukuna is now predictable, it's a warning sign he might be falling right into Sukuna's trap. Sukuna is never predictable. This chapter strengthens my idea because we see Sukuna confirming that Gojo is like an animal, slowly moving towards the trap Sukuna set up. At least that's his idea, but it's also essential never to underestimate Gojo because that wouldn't be wise, as we can see at the end of the chapter. In any case, Sukuna believes that Gojo won't find the perfect opportunity to use his purple technique, so there's no need for concern. Also, the purple technique Gojo used at the fight's beginning had some sort of binding vow on it, enabling it to produce more than 120% output. This likely relates to the ritual or ceremony they performed initially, that dance. It might also explain why they needed the barrier, as Gojo pushed beyond his limits. Gojo can only handle what he's capable of. What this suggests to me is that initially Gojo might have wanted to intimidate Sukuna with that powerful attack, trying to make him seem stronger than he really is. This isn't a good sign if Gojo doubts his own strength compared to Sukuna. It supports the argument that others should only step in if they believe Sukuna is weaker. If they meant Gojo, then it's the same situation. This doesn't seem like the confident Gojo we met at the start of the series, but to be fair, Sukuna also seems a bit stronger than Gojo anticipated, likely because of Megumi and especially Mahoraga. But if Gojo's intention was indeed intimidation, it worked. Sukuna indirectly acknowledges this when he praises Gojo, discussing the remarkable distance of the first shot. Even though Sukuna strengthened both of his arms, they were still blown away. Theoretically, Gojo could take down Sukuna with a single blow, especially now that Sukuna's regeneration is slowly and he seems tired. One more attack with 120% and it might be over. However, we must always consider both sides. Just as Sukuna might not withstand another 120% purple, Gojo might not be able to produce one. At least that's the theory, but as always, the reality might be different. With the mindset that he might lose if Mahoraga makes him wait even longer, the wheel spins one more time. It's interesting that here Sukuna mentioned Megumi. He acted as though Mahoraga is intentionally delaying the process because he's not accepting Sukuna, even though he's bound to obey him. This could be a hint that something related to this will become crucial in the future. Maybe Megumi isn't as defeated as Sukuna thinks, or perhaps Megumi is slowly regaining control without Sukuna noticing. Alternatively, Mahoraga might be trying to help as best he can, possibly even trying to wake Megumi. Or Megumi's will could be influencing Mahoraga's actions, even if only slightly. In this fight, every second is vital. Or maybe Mahoraga noticed that Sukuna is not from the clan. There are many possibilities. Then, right after the wheel turned, Gojo loses his arm. By now, we shouldn't be too shocked and worried, as long as they don't confirm a severe brain injury that prevents regeneration. Such scenes might seem less impactful. However, and this is important, as they heal more and more severe injuries, they strain the already injured part of the brain responsible for the healing process. So while Gojo is healing, each healing causes more pain, and as we know, they are already close to death. At this point, one could argue that Sukuna has almost won. If Gojo can't finish the job, Sukuna clearly has the upper hand, as he's not getting injured as much as Gojo. The strategy might be to drag out the fight until Gojo collapses. I think Gojo realizes this, which is likely why he hinted at his secret technique in the last chapter, which he might still be charging secretly. Then Gojo tells Sukuna that he's not built for this fight. He uses blue at maximum output. This is where it becomes a bit confusing. The narrator mentions that 41 seconds have passed, and once again, Gojo's hollow purple caused significant destruction. It's challenging to see the details, but the next chapter will reveal more. And as always, it's either a fake death or defeat. Sukuna is far from finished, and let's not forget that Gojo has more techniques up his sleeve as well. To learn about one of them, check out last week's video where I explained Gojo's new black hole. So what do you think of this new Jujutsu Kaisen chapter and my chapter review? Let me know in the comments, and if you want to see more Jujutsu Kaisen content, then subscribe to this channel with the notification bell activated. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye.